Hi there, and welcome to the Neckpour. My name's Lewis, and welcome to the Whisky Review channel, where I give you my opinions on a bottle of whisky from the Neckpour all the way down to the Dregs. You join me today for a pretty momentous and special review. This is episode of the Dregs on this Talisker 2023 special release, the Wild Explorador, because this marks the first bottle that I've both filmed the Neckpour and the Dregs for. And moving forward, every bottle of whisky that I've got, I will be able to film both the initial and the finishing review of the bottle. If you would like to see my first thoughts on the bottle, I will leave a card to the review up there if you'd like to click on and come back to see my more nuanced thoughts at the end after watching it. I would like to say, however, that was the first video I ever recorded and edited and all of the YouTube things for. It's not very good quality. And I'd like to think this one might be slightly better, but who knows? We're always learning. But yeah, this is a bottle I picked up online for just about 60 quid. It's a 59.7% non-age stated, cask strength, non-chill filtered Talisker, part of the Diageo 2023 special releases I was able to pick up on a ridiculously good deal online. It's finished in a combination of port casks, being white, tawny, and ruby port. And yeah, we're down to right at the end of the bottle now. I will take my final measure today. I'll talk to you about it, taste it with you, and then the remainder of it will go into my infinity bottle. This is a whiskey I've really enjoyed, actually. I enjoyed it a little more than I thought I was probably going to. Talisker's not one of my kind of favourite house styles, although I do appreciate the maritime nature and the light peat. But I've just picked it up because it seemed just such a good deal and I was really intrigued to try it. First of the Diageo special releases I've ever owned, and possibly one of the first ones I've ever tasted, to be honest. As well as, interesting to see Talisker at cask strength as opposed to the standard 45.8% that you get in the shops. There is no information about natural colour, both on the tin, on the bottle, or online. So being a Diageo release, we would probably be fairly safe to assume that it is coloured, although it's not kind of got that fake tan glow to it. And it has been aged in port casks, which, as you can probably guess, do impact a fair bit of colour onto the whiskey. This is a whiskey that I've really enjoyed, really pleasant. It's gone down really well. So let's pour ourselves a drop. We'll have a little chat about it. I'll give you my opinions, my thoughts, and whether I think you should pick this up. I'll just go with that much for now, as I do want to leave myself enough to have a bit of an impact on my infinity bottle. But yeah, straight away on the nose, there's a kind of fair bit of booze on there, fair bit of ethanol. It's a 59.7%. It's only a shade under 60%. It's a big punchy whiskey. Sea salt, a kind of what I describe as a heathery peat, a kind of floral peat, and a little bit of a plum or something like that. I'm actually not going to taste this at bottle strength because it's just simply a bit too strong, really. I did drink it like that in the initial review, and it is drinkable, it's palatable, it's well made enough spirit that you can, but it's a complete assault on the senses of that. And, this does need a fair bit of water, I think, to really open up the nuance and the flavour of the whiskey. Putting that bit in there and giving it a little mix around, you can see straight away it's breaking that suspension in there. There's a slight haze to it. And just the way the whiskey is behaving in the glass has completely changed. But yeah. Now smelling it, if anything, the peat comes a bit stronger. the saltiness becomes a bit stronger and it becomes a bit spicy. There's a lovely kind of almost peppercorn sauce note to that, I think, on the nose. I'm actually going to add a tiny bit more because I think it could just do with a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's more where I want it. It's just taken all that kick straight out of it, you know. It's just now pleasant to have your nose in there as opposed to a bit, whoa, what's going on? And on the palate, all those flavors are just reinforced, especially with the water added. You know, there's a bit of a kind of bonfire on the beach sort of thing going on. That really light heather peat, that floral peat. There's a big bouquet of, you know, flowers, the sea air, and underlining all of it, there's a kind of spicy, rich sweetness that's coming from that port that's actually fairly sort of harmonious. And although I think the port's doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of hiding the youthfulness and the aggression of the whiskey, it's actually that lovely house style of Talisker, that salty, light peat, that's the real star of the show here. And it's, yeah, very, very enjoyable. I mean, I've tried this with a few people. Pretty much everyone's enjoyed this. The only people that haven't are your kind of people who are only lightly dipping their toes into the world of whiskey. And for some of those people, I was quite similar myself until I'd had a good kind of basing in whiskey. Peat at all was kind of like this really weird off thing. Whereas now, something I really quite enjoy in something like this. But I must stress, this is nothing like a Ardbeg or a Lafroig. It's not meaty, it's not medicinal, it's not seaweedy at all. It's light and floral is the peat. And then the maritiminess is a separate note. And yeah, it's really good whiskey. I did, interestingly, have this. We had a barbecue a couple of weeks ago. We had some unseasonably good weather and thought we'd get outside. Had quite a few drinks. Sat outside by the charcoal barbecue all night. And then I'd slightly overindulged. So I'd had a cigar as well. Then I came to drink this. And wow, it was completely different. There was no peat that I could discern on it at all because my taste buds and my mouth had been so over smoked already that evening. And instead, I got flowers and lemons and sea salt. It was really salty and it was really interesting. And it's amazing how, based on what you're having with it, the texture and the character of a whiskey can completely change. Because again, after eating, you know, fairly rich food that had been barbecued and all those kind of things, again, this was so light in the mouth. And this was drinking it at bottle strength, where it is fairly thick and oily. So it was just an interesting kind of way to see what it was like after, you know, slightly changing the goalposts and the viewpoint that I was coming from. And that is something I would kind of recommend to people. Again, I'm not saying go out, nail a massive spicy curry, and then drink £300 whiskey, because you're probably not going to pick up all of the notes of it. But every now and then, try something, maybe something you don't like as much. Try it after having something with a big flavour to it, because it's going to reset the way your mouth sees it. It's going to reset the way your nose sees it. It's going to change your experience with it. And it might go from something that you don't really like to, oh, actually, that goes really well after having a big, rich, meaty meal. Or a spicy meal, or whatever the case may be. So it is something I would certainly recommend. So to sum this whiskey up, it's one of those things I would never recommend picking up any of the Diageo special releases unless it's a distillery you really love at their kind of full prices. Some of them are just ridiculous. You know, this was well over £100. I think it was about £125 when it first came out. I picked it up, I think, for £47.99. I'll double check. I'll put it in the little fact sheet that I run at the start on this bottle and the exact price that I did pay on it. And for that price, yeah, it's a perfectly acceptable bottle of whiskey. It's enjoyable, it's fun, and I've enjoyed having it and drinking it. But I would only consider buying this if it was on, again, such a good deal. I mean, at the moment, there's another Talisker and there's a Lagavulin, both on offer for 60 quid each. I believe they're the 2022 special editions. And that, again, shows you what those pricing structures are like. If Diageo is still holding stock of those, and we're now in April 2024, you know, it shows how poorly priced they actually are. Because if they were as good, you know, Talisker's a big cult name distillery. People love Talisker. People love Lagavulin, you know, and they're having to sell them at nearly half price 18, 24 months later. It says something about the prices of those whiskies when other bottles, you know, a Springbank, which is half the original price this came out, places can't keep them on the shelves. But no, it is a bottle I have enjoyed. It's not one I'm going to pine for once it's gone. It's not one I'll be desperate to replace, but it has been a nice experience. It's quite a different sort of style to what I normally go with. I'm more a kind of unpeated or very lightly peated and sherried whiskey drinker, whereas this is a kind of maritime and a bit heavier peated than what I'm normally drinking. And it's nice. It also kind of, it's a refreshing change from those things. So I'm not drinking too much of the same stuff again and again. But no, it's not one I'll probably want to come back to. But, you know, if this bottle or any of the other ones was at a similar under £50 price again, I would probably rush straight there and pick one up because, yeah, it's good whiskey for the price. If you have enjoyed this review and the previous one, because they are almost a pair of videos and should almost be watched together, please do give the video a like to show me that you've enjoyed the content. Please drop me a comment below if you've got any thoughts on this particular bottle of whiskey, any other Taliskers or the Diageo special releases, or there's anything that you think I need to be picking up for review. And also hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified the next time I post. But other than that, I would like to say thank you for joining me today. I'd love to see you again for the next episode of the Neckpour, the Dregs, or just my general thoughts on whiskey. But until the next time, I'd like to say cheers, Salancha, and I'll see you again.